Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Talk with Joe and Dina. And today, we have a very, very interesting topic that my lovely wife here wanted us to discuss. And it's like, all right, is this going to be kind of a painful topic for me? I don't think so. But,
What?
well, because we're going to get, I think, deep into probably a very good example of what we are currently living right now.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, today's topic is the moment that you're just going to set your intention on whatever it is that you want to achieve and you don't look back.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, I know what we're probably going to refer back to is that I always love to kind of tell this story. On December 1st of 2020, I had the opportunity to go live on Facebook, and I talked about that we are going to create agent ownership. And I had a ton of our agents and our leaders and coaches and brokers, and they were all like reaching out, Joe, this is freaking awesome, man. Like, this is awesome. Like, how are you going to do it? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. But I'm a big believer is if you really want to achieve something, you put it out there in the universe and you say, this is what my intent is, and I'm not going to look back. And let me tell you what, woo, there have been some ups and downs. We're still not yet complete. Hopefully, maybe by the time this episode airs, we will be complete and we'll have a big celebration. But it's been like, gosh, I mean, when you think about it, December 1st, 2020, it's going to be 3 years this December.
It's crazy.
3 years,
Crazy.
right? That
Yeah.
is, yeah. I mean, when I think about it, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but I can definitely tell you, I have felt like we have been through the ringer and back. But listen, I think one of, today's topic, by the way, you wanted to kind of like discuss and kind of go over. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, well, I can relate for sure. But I can tell you, it's been challenging for me because there's been times where it's like I wanted to look back and I wanted to kind of second guess and say, what the hell am I doing? Why are we doing this? Now, there's a why behind
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
a very, very important why, very obviously important purpose of why we decided to go down this path. But it's been challenging even for myself not to look back and just to kind of stay focused, right? I always say, we always use the I saw this meme one time of Michael Phelps where he's in the pool and he's actually in second place at the time. Some other swimmer is actually ahead of him, and the swimmer is actually looking back to see where Michael Phelps is. And what happens? Michael Phelps doesn't look back. He looks straight ahead, looks forward. He hits his mark. He hits his goal. He wins the race. And the other guy now fell
Yeah.
back to second or third, right? So you never want to look back, right?
And that's a good analogy, right? Because if don't look in the rearview mirror, because that's not where you're going. And if you keep looking back, you're gonna crash, go off a cliff. I mean,
Right.
for God's sake, you got to focus on where you're going.
Yeah. So, I think it's also important too, kind of like what I said, is that there's really a big purpose and reason why, because I've always said that, that is what's going to keep you driving, driving forward, right? That's going to be the big driving force behind you achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, because we're all going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
I remember telling myself in the very beginning, I'm like, all right, I remember like the first like month or two of us kind of going down this path of trying to take our company public. It didn't feel like it was that difficult, and I felt like we had developed the right strategy, we had the right systems in place, we had the right partners. Everything was all right. This is how it's gonna happen. And I remember telling myself, all right, don't get cocky, don't get overconfident, because there's gonna be days where it's like holy crap,
Peaks
like,
and valleys.
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
like challenges, obstacles, things that you didn't even expect to become a potential hurdle that you have to now overcome. It's gonna happen, right? So as long as you're focused, as long as there's a purpose, as long as this is absolutely without a shadow's doubt, like I'm gonna make this happen, you'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, you have to like set you can't just haphazardly set an intention. It's got to be something that like you feel like in your core, right? So like that intention that you set there was so much behind it. But so when you set the intention, yeah, the why, the purpose has to be so strong that when all these peaks and valleys happen, man, when you're on fire, you're going to be like, that's okay. Put it out and I'm going to keep going. So it's not, the intention has to be like, with that strong why or purpose. And then from there, you just have to like never look back. just keep going forward, and no matter what's happening, as long as you keep that tunnel vision on why you're doing it, you'll never get off course. And that's it. Like, your why was so strong for that, that it was not like, if it was just about us, then maybe we wouldn't have stayed the course for 3 years, right? Because we have a lot going on. We have other great things. But the why was because of every single La Rosa family member. And it was like, wow, this is going to be life-changing. So how do you walk away from that? How do you walk away from that and truly be a leader, a good human being, or just someone that really wants to make a change in this world? So again, don't like haphazardly set like an intention. Just dig down deep of something like a change you want to make or some effect you want to have, impact, and put that vision to paper, and then just never look back, which we have done.
Yeah. I love, I think I got this quote from, I get many of my quotes from Tony Robbins, right? If you're going to take the island, right, you're gonna burn the boats, and
man,
so
burn those freaking boats.
Yeah, man, those things are like, I don't even know where the hell they even are now. They've been burnt down to like ashes. That's for sure. But listen, I think that if you do have the intent on achieving a particular goal, whatever it may be, one way to really not look back is to don't plan for that what if scenario. Don't plan for it. Now, people are going to probably criticize me for saying this, but don't have a plan B. Don't have a plan C, right? Hey, I am fully committed in my mind, right? Because I'm a big believer, obviously, in the law of attraction and kind of what you see, what you visualize. If you start talking to yourself about, all right, let me have this backup plan just in case I don't hit this, or if I have,
a safety net.
Yeah. If you create a safety net, more than likely, you're probably going to have to use that safety net, right? Yeah. You're going to have, so to me, there is no other way. And I've done this not only with this IPO, but with a lot of things, I don't have a plan B. This is my plan, and my only plan, right?
And that's why it may, the timeline may not always look like you intended, right? And that's where you have to be flexible and be prepared, right? Maybe with reserves financially or whatever. So that's why I say when you set the intention, you have to have a plan. But it's you can't be attached to the timeline. And we're big believers in everything happens for a reason, and that we know God's plans for us are greater than any plans that we could ever plan for ourselves. So you have to not be attached to the timeline. So when things don't go your way, it can't be it's not going our way, it must be not meant to be. No, because we know what we're doing. It's in our, we feel it in our spirit. So we go straight ahead, and we're not attached to the timeline. It may take a little longer, whatever it is, we keep staying the course. So it's the vision that you have to have, not all the little things that, you're going to be it must not be meant to be. People do that all the time. We speak to people all the time. They're oh, this happened, so I'm just not going to do it because it's not meant for me. Or you get into those whole worthy issues, right? It's one little thing goes wrong, and it's oh, I'm not worthy of this. Oh, this isn't meant for me. And they're all those limited beliefs that take you off that. But, man, when we went in this, we were this is, everyone in the company is worthy of this, so we have to stand for that.
Yeah, listen, I think you're making a great point there because, again, since we're using his IPO story and journey as a great example, going into it, I saw it playing out a very different way to kind of how it is playing out now, right? Obviously, we've had to adapt, and I think that's the key. I think where some people, where they get stuck is when they set an intent to achieve something, they don't adapt to the times, to whatever it may be, that they're still actually achieving their goal. Mm-hmm. They're still getting to that destination, but maybe it's a little bit different than when they initially thought. So what happens to some people, I think, is that when they deal with some of this adversity, challenges, hurdles that they didn't expect, whatever else, and they see that it's going to be a little bit different, they kind of give up because it's not what they initially had said that this is what's going to happen. So I think you have to have that flexibility for sure, because I think, I see a lot of people, unfortunately, kind of fall into that unfortunate situation where, one little dose of adversity and if things change just a little bit, it's gosh, do you ever have that, happen where it happens to me all the time, where it's if something comes across your path that wasn't what you wanted to come across your path, you get so sucked into the moment and you get pissed off, you get frustrated, but then when you take a step back, you realize, that wasn't that bad, right? That wasn't what the hell was I overreact? Wasn't my freaking baby, right? So I had that happen to me all the time, even on this IPO path, where it's like if things don't go exactly how I written them out to go, damn, why is this happening? I can't believe it. But then,
Yeah.
you know what? Wait a second. What the hell am I crying about? Like, this is not just a little bit of a change, a little bit of a tweak that we have to do, but it's all gonna be good at the end.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you really want to achieve something, like anything great or anything with that kind of impact that you want to create, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. It's not always going to go your way. If you really want it that bad, then you'll be able to jump those hurdles, right? Because this is a long game. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So you have to also almost question if you're constantly every little thing that goes wrong. If you're constantly sitting there and like having a big fit about it, like, oh, woe is me, then if you're playing that victim mode, then maybe you don't have what it takes to get there. I mean, that's just the truth of it, because you have to be able to have the endurance to create something great. And if you look at so many leaders that have created amazing things, that have created like global impact, or any of these great companies or businesses, or even like not-for-profits, like it wasn't an easy road, and you can't just say, oh, it's going to be all daisies and butterflies and get there. No, not for what we're trying to build. That doesn't happen. So you're going to have to sit there and have the hard talk. Like, really, do you have what it takes to make this happen? And then we've had those tough conversations with each other. We're all in for the good of everybody within the company, down to every single agent. Because in La Rosa, it's like the agents up here, and then it's the brokers, and then it's the even the CEO, the COO, the corporate team. Like, it's all about them. So if you accept that and you're like really true on it, you're like, this is what we're doing, then you got to have the endurance. And if you don't, then you don't deserve the rewards. That's just right.
Yeah.
You do not deserve the rewards of something so great as building like what we're trying to build if you're not willing to take the bumps, the bruises, the stabs in the back, the hanging off a cliff and got to dredge your way back up. It's par for the course.
Yeah, and one thing I will also say is I think what people should do is that if you do have a goal that you want to achieve, if you have something that you are just gonna, I'm gonna set this intention of doing this, whatever it may be, right? Tell people, right? Put it out there. Like, don't keep it to yourself, because I think what happens is human nature is we tend to kind of feel like it's easier for us to give up on maybe a personal goal that's just really that only we know about, right? But when you tell the whole entire world, I mean, because that's awesome. I'm gonna be very it's real talk, right? Be very candid. I have moments of where we're dealing with adversity. When we're in one of those valleys, I'm like, dude, I can't quit. There is no way, because I got too many people that are depending on me now to achieve this, and I put this out there, and so that's been kind of holding me accountable at plenty of times, I would say, along this journey. So I would definitely encourage you, whatever it is that you're going to set, as a goal, whatever it be, just tell people. Don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah, because once you put it out there, there's accountability, right? And there's responsibility once it's out of your mouth, so to speak. So if you're holding things in, then you have to really ask yourself again another hard question, like, well, why am I not, putting it out there? Because if you're not putting it out there, that means you're not confident and you don't believe in either the intention or the goal that you want. And so if you don't believe in the intention, you don't believe in the goal or the vision of what you're creating, how do you expect anybody else to believe in it, right? So once you put it out there, like, you better be sure that you believe in it. Because if you don't believe in yourself and believe in what you're trying to create, you cannot expect other people to jump on board. It's just not going to happen. So, these are hard questions you have to ask yourself.
Let me give you kind of a funny little example about that. So about a year ago, you kind of busted my chops.
If there was a bubble, it'd be like, what is he about to say?
No. So I've always gone up and down with my weight, like, over the years, right? I'm a stress eater, I guess, at times. And I think last December, I took a picture of myself, right, with no shirt in front of the mirror, and I posted it on social media and said, all right, man, I want all my Facebook friends, all my social media friends, you all going to hold me accountable. And I didn't do very well with my diet probably right away, and it was kind of pretty stupid. I mean, I did it right around the freaking holidays, which was a challenge in itself. But I had people, realtors, friends, associates, people that I'm not even that close to, but I guess they're on my Facebook page, whatever be the case. they would see me, and this is like in now, I want to say like January, early February. Hey, Joe, how's that diet going? I'm like, shit, I totally forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. So, that's just kind of a funny example, right? I put myself out there, and it actually,
Because you knew then you would.
I knew, yeah. I got motivated. I'm like, all right, I gotta, lose a few pounds, and I was able to do it. Hopefully, maybe I lose a few more.
I am not posting pictures out there to be held accountable for that.
Well, it's just a great example.
But it is.
If
It's
you're not
true.
really following the whole IPO story, I thought maybe you might relate to that story. So.
Yeah, it's listen, it works. It works. That's why in a lot of things that we've taught or in leadership, it's the first thing is go out there. And you'll find that there are a lot of people like, I'm not on social media, like I don't do that, I don't share. But and I get both sides of that, but there's a level of like accountability, responsibility, and growth that happens when you're just authentic and vulnerable and you share, right? And that's why, like Joe and I were doing each our own podcasts, and then we decided to do it together because honestly, just a real conversation, nothing like pre-set up. Like we talked just before here about what we want to speak about, just to have because I can go on rampants just like I'm doing now. But it's just to be completely transparent and honest because there's so much fluff out there and there's so much like filters and all this other crap that, people are trying to live up to. When the reality is nobody that created something great, no relationship is just easy. Our marriage and relationship hasn't been easy. Our blending of families, our business growth, none of it has been easy, but it's worth it. So if you want it, you have to put in the work and you have to, wipe off your knees and dust off, whatever, and you got to get back up and keep going. And that's why it's important to have that partnership. I mean, our kids have been brought into this, our business, in the sense that they need to understand the why. The why mommy and dad, I can't even say that anymore, right? Mom and dad work so hard, and why mom and dad may have to take that call on vacation. They have to understand that why, and they have to buy into the why. So that, and that's just an important little side, thing that I always go on is just like your spouse, your kids, your family have to be, if they can't be bought into your vision, it's going to be a struggle for you because you need that support.
Man, I think those are like a couple topics we could probably pull out of what you just said there and add them to our next couple podcasts. So look, here's what I want to leave everybody with today. If you've been thinking about doing something, you've been thinking about setting some crazy ass goal, set it, right? What's the reason why? Tell people about it. And guess what? Don't ever look back.
Yeah.
So that's our message here for this week. We love that everybody's been following us here on the Real Talk with Joe and Dina. Keep following us, and we'll see you guys next week.